MTV fought 3 wars for cultural dominance over 4 decades. They won the first 2 decisively, then lost the third so catastrophically that today's teenagers barely know the network exists. This is the story of how the most powerful youth brand in history went from defining an entire generation to ranking among the lowest-rated major cable networks in America.
Coming soon on cable, your stereo and TV unite to bring you video music in stereo 24 hours a day.
In 1988, MTV reached 45 million American homes and was adding 20,000 to 30,000 new viewers every single day. The channel didn't just play music videos, it literally decided which songs became hits and which artists became superstars. Madonna, Michael Jackson, Guns N' Roses, their careers were made by MTV's heavy rotation. Record labels spent millions producing elaborate music videos just to get MTV's attention, essentially turning music videos into advertisements for sound recordings. At its peak, MTV wasn't just a TV channel, it was the cultural operating system for an entire generation, forever changing the global TV landscape by reshaping music culture, visual culture, and most importantly, youth culture.
Welcome to MTV Music Television, the world's first 24-hour stereo video music channel.
Fast forward to today, and MTV draws fewer primetime viewers than dozens of other networks. Gen Z, the demographic MTV desperately needs, has largely abandoned the network for TikTok and YouTube, platforms that didn't even exist when MTV was ruling the world. The channel that once premiered Michael Jackson's Thriller now fills most of its schedule with endless reruns of Ridiculousness, essentially repackaging viral internet videos with commentary. But here's the twist. MTV's first music video was Video Killed the Radio Star, and it turns out that was predicting the network's own death. The story of MTV's rise and fall reveals the brutal life cycle of media brands in the digital age and the 3 decisive battles that determined its fate. MTV's first war was for survival itself. When the network launched on August 1st, 1981 with Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles, most industry experts thought the concept was absurd. A 24-hour music video channel? Who would watch that? The startup team, led by a young radio executive named Bob Pittman, was a group of scrappy underdogs with little TV experience, but a passion for music and marketing. "We were lean and mean and didn't know what the hell we were doing," Pittman later admitted. But this rule-breaking attitude was exactly what made MTV cutting edge. MTV's business model was brilliant in its simplicity. Sell advertising for a product someone else made and financed. Record labels provided music videos for free, hoping to spur record sales. MTV just needed to attract young viewers and sell their attention to advertisers. But here's where it gets wild. MTV almost died before it could prove this model worked. In its first year, MTV struggled financially with minimal advertising revenue and substantial losses that were covered by its parent company. The problem was distribution. Many cable operators refused to carry MTV, and some record labels withheld their videos, expecting the channel to fail. MTV employees had to cross from Manhattan to New Jersey just to watch their own premiere, because no Manhattan cable system carried the channel. By 1983, MTV was nearly kaput, and executives had to beg for additional funding to keep going. They spent $2 million of that on one last desperate marketing push, and it changed everything. The I Want My MTV campaign featured rock stars like Mick Jagger and Cyndi Lauper telling viewers to call their cable companies and demand the channel. Teenagers bombarded cable operators with requests.
I want my MTV!
And even the most conservative cable operators buckled under the pressure. By creating grassroots demand, MTV rapidly expanded its reach and turned the channel into the cool club that youth had to fight to get into. But winning distribution was just the first battle. MTV's bigger legitimacy crisis was about race. In its early years, MTV focused almost entirely on white rock acts, effectively excluding black artists from its video rotation. MTV executives claimed they were following a rock format, but critics saw this as veiled racism. Rick James called MTV out for blatant racism because they wouldn't play his Super Freak video. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1983, David Bowie confronted MTV VJ Mark Goodman in an on-air interview, asking pointedly,
"I'm just floored by the fact that there's so few black artists featured on it. Why is that?"
Goodman's awkward response revealed the network's true thinking. MTV had to consider what Poughkeepsie or the Midwest would accept, essentially admitting they assumed mainstream America wasn't ready for black artists. But Bowie's public challenge drew attention to the issue and increased pressure on MTV to change. The breakthrough came with Michael Jackson. Walter Yetnikoff of CBS Records threatened to pull all their videos from MTV and go public with the network's discriminatory practices if MTV didn't play Jackson's Billie Jean. MTV capitulated, put Billie Jean in heavy rotation, and the song exploded, reaching #1 on the charts. The spectacular success of Jackson on MTV essentially broke the colour barrier. When MTV aired Jackson's Thriller video, it became a cultural phenomenon that proved black artists could drive massive viewership. By 1988, MTV launched Yo MTV Raps, the first major TV show dedicated to hip-hop, which became a massive hit and brought black urban culture into the mainstream. MTV had won its first war. By the mid-1980s, the network had achieved critical mass, overcome racial exclusion criticism, and proved that music videos could be a sustainable business model. MTV wasn't just playing music videos, it was deciding what was cool, influencing fashion trends, and becoming the biggest single influence on teen culture. The network had transformed how an entire generation experienced music culture, turning rock from something you listened to into something you watched. But winning the legitimacy war was just the beginning. Quick pause, more than 90% of you guys have not subscribed to the channel, and I would really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. I would love to grow our community and hit the 10k subscribers mark by the end of the year. I would be grateful if you came along for the ride. Now let's get back to how MTV conquered the world. In 1985, Viacom acquired MTV Networks, bringing new corporate resources and ambitions. Under Tom Freston's leadership, MTV launched an aggressive global expansion, starting with MTV Europe in 1987. Freston believed they were witnessing the birth of the first international generation of youth. They wear Levi's, shop at Benetton, wear Swatch watches, and drink Coca-Cola. They are more similar to each other than they are to their parents. The strategy was brilliant. Music crosses borders easily, and English had become the lingua franca of rock and pop. By the early 1990s, MTV was creating a global youth marketplace, launching channels across Europe, Asia, and Latin America. A teenager in Germany and one in Brazil could be watching the same Madonna video and adopting similar trends. MTV was creating the first truly global youth culture. But at home, MTV faced a new challenge: music video fatigue. By 1985 to 86, MTV suffered a ratings decline and entered what researchers called a state of institutionalized blandness. Constant videos were starting to blur together for viewers. MTV's response was to diversify within music content first, launching genre-specific shows like Yo MTV Raps for hip-hop, Headbangers Ball for metal, and 120 Minutes for alternative rock. These longer-form programs were designed to capture audiences for extended periods rather than just individual videos. But the real breakthrough came in 1992 with The Real World, and this is where MTV's expansion war took a crucial turn. The Real World put 7 young adults in a house and filmed their unscripted lives. It was cheap to produce and became a pop culture phenomenon. The show proved that viewers craved drama and human stories, and that reality TV could draw better ratings than random music video blocks. Tom Freston articulated MTV's evolving strategy in 1993. We're not just about music, we're about all issues associated with pop culture. This philosophy led MTV to explore news with MTV News, animation with Beavis and Butthead, and more reality programming.
Hi, Sonia Saul here with MTV News.
Under Viacom's ownership, MTV became a multimedia brand, launching MTV Films, creating award shows, and cross-promoting across the corporate family. MTV's brand extension strategy was working. The network wasn't just a music channel anymore, but a youth lifestyle empire. The late 90s brought Total Request Live, which combined music videos with live audience, celebrity interviews, and viewer voting. TRL became appointment television for teenagers, with crowds gathering outside MTV's Times Square studio, and the show wielding enormous influence over record sales. But TRL also represented something significant. MTV was packaging music videos as shows rather than just playing them in rotation. The format was still about music, but the context and personality of host Carson Daly made it far more engaging than random video blocks. By the early 2000s, reality TV had exploded with hits like The Osbournes, Newlyweds, Nick and Jessica, and Laguna Beach. These programs drew strong ratings by letting viewers peek into lifestyles of celebrities or wealthy peers. Reality shows were water-cooler television in a way that individual music videos no longer were. MTV had won its second war through aggressive global expansion and successful diversification beyond pure music video programming. But the network's strategy of brand extension also contained the seeds of future problems. MTV's corporate philosophy under Viacom became, we've chosen not to grow old with our audience, but to remain contemporary with current-day tastes. This deliberate shedding of older viewers in favour of new teens kept MTV's tone fresh, but led to a loss of loyalty and an endless scramble to catch new trends. By the mid-2000s, MTV had largely relegated music videos to off-peak hours or sister channels, fully embracing reality and general entertainment programming for its main lineup. The expansion war had been won, but at a cost. MTV was losing what made it unique. And then came the digital revolution. Here's where things get really wild, and where MTV's story becomes a cautionary tale for every media company in the digital age. In 2005, a small startup called YouTube launched, allowing anyone to upload and watch videos on demand. At first, MTV executives didn't see YouTube as a threat. It was just amateur content and low-quality uploads. But YouTube was solving a fundamental problem that MTV had created.
And this is happening right now. Video files are giant, so they may take a little while. You have to have a fast connection.
Exactly. I'm Darren in an ice cave in Alaska looking for some Wi-Fi, and you're watching Hackpoint 5.
MTV's audience wanted to watch specific music videos when they wanted, not wait for them to appear in rotation. Then came the decision that arguably sealed MTV's fate. In 2006, Viacom's Sumner Redstone fired Tom Freston, MTV's visionary leader, who had guided the network through its global expansion. The widely reported reason was that Freston had failed to acquire MySpace, then the leading social network and massively popular, with teens for music and video sharing. Redstone believed missing MySpace, which sold to Murdoch for $580 million, was a blunder that cost MTV its next-generation platform. A Forbes analysis noted that by failing to acquire MySpace, Viacom had let the web's most popular site for teens slip away. But the problems went deeper than missing one acquisition. MTV's entire approach to digital was flawed from the start. When MTV launched MTV Overdrive in 2005, an online video portal, it was geographically limited and required cable authentication. While YouTube was free, global, and instantly accessible, MTV was protecting its cable relationships by making digital content harder to access. MTV even sued YouTube in 2007, rather than partnering with the platform, a strategic error that alienated young fans who simply wanted to share MTV clips. Meanwhile, record labels started releasing videos straight to YouTube via Vevo, bypassing MTV's exclusive window entirely. By the late 2000s, MTV was playing very few actual music videos, as little as 3 hours per day by 2008, partly because the audience for them had migrated online. Then came the streaming revolution. Platforms like Netflix changed general video consumption habits, further cutting into the time young people spent on linear TV. Music streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music changed music discovery. Playlists and algorithms replaced MTV curators as arbiters of taste. Social media platforms made media consumption highly personalized and participatory. By the early 2000s and 10s, teens were engaging with music and pop culture primarily through social feeds, rather than tuning into a TV channel's schedule. The numbers tell the brutal story of MTV's digital defeat. MTV's US reach peaked around 2011 at 99 million households. By 2023, it was down to 67 million. By the 2020s, MTV's flagship VMAs drew only about 1.3 million linear TV viewers, while a single viral music video on YouTube might get tens of millions of views. MTV tried to spin those numbers by citing 1.33 billion minutes consumed across social media, essentially admitting that their audience had shifted to other platforms. In 2010, MTV even dropped music television from its logo, signaling the completion of its transformation into a general youth entertainment channel. But by then, general youth entertainment meant competing with every streaming service, YouTube channel, and social media platform. MTV had no unique value proposition left. The final blow came with Gen Z's complete exodus from MTV. Gen Z grew up in an on-demand, algorithmically curated media environment where TikTok became MTV for Gen Z. Unlike MTV's top-down curation, TikTok is user-generated and algorithm-driven, giving each user exactly what they want to see. By 2023, reports showed MTV had fallen dramatically in network rankings, with an 11% year-over-year drop in viewership. MTV had lost the digital war catastrophically. The channel that once made careers now fills its schedule with endless reruns of Ridiculousness, essentially repackaging the same viral videos that audiences can watch for free on the platforms that displaced MTV. MTV's rise and fall offers crucial lessons for today's media platforms, from TikTok to Netflix to any company trying to capture youth attention. First, authenticity and core identity matter more than chasing every trend. MTV succeeded initially because it had a clear, authentic connection to music and youth culture. When it abandoned that core identity for broader entertainment, it lost what made it special and opened the door for platforms like YouTube to claim the music video space. Second, embrace technological disruption early, even if it cannibalizes existing revenue. MTV's biggest strategic error was protecting its cable TV business at the expense of digital innovation. If MTV had launched a YouTube-like service in 2005, it might have hurt MTV's cable ratings initially, but given the network a future in digital. Netflix is often cited for disrupting its own DVD business with streaming. MTV failed to make that leap. Third, youth brands must continuously innovate or risk becoming nostalgic relics. MTV's strategy of not growing old with its audience worked until a new generation chose different platforms entirely. The network went from defining cool to desperately chasing trends set by others. Fourth, platform agility is essential in the digital age. MTV was so tied to linear cable that it couldn't adapt when audiences migrated to on-demand, interactive platforms. Today's successful media brands, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, or even traditional companies like Disney with Disney+, must be platform agnostic and follow audiences wherever they go. Finally, monopolies on culture don't last forever. At its peak, MTV had near monopolistic power over youth culture. It could make or break careers with a single video premiere. But digital technology democratized content creation and distribution. Now millions of individual creators compete for attention, and no single platform has MTV's former cultural dominance. MTV's story is ultimately about the life cycle of media brands in the digital age. The network rose by being first to serve an underserved audience with new technology, cable TV and music videos. It peaked by expanding globally and diversifying content while maintaining cultural relevance. It fell by failing to adapt to the next technological wave and losing its unique identity in pursuit of broader appeal. The channel that launched with "Video killed the radio star" learned the hard way that digital platforms can kill television stars too. MTV fought 3 wars for cultural relevance. It won the first 2 through innovation, risk-taking, and strategic adaptation. It lost the third by playing defense instead of offense, protecting old revenue streams instead of building new ones. Today, MTV exists as a shadow of its former self, a cautionary tale about what happens when iconic brands fail to evolve with their audiences and technology. The next time a platform claims to have permanent cultural relevance, remember MTV's story. In the digital age, even the most powerful youth brands are just one technological shift away from irrelevance. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please do consider subscribing to the channel if you found value in this. Oh, and YouTube thinks you will like this video. Do watch it before you leave.